Well, we've had it good for a couple of years, but now we must prepare for higher oil prices and especially higher petrol prices. After months of uncertainty, the oil cartel OPEC has agreed to cut production by more than 1 million barrels a day from current levels, the first cut in 8 years. Now, prices have immediately shot up, and Azhar Sukri has this report.
For oil producers everywhere, the conclusion to OPEC's meeting in Vienna was a massive relief.
In summary, the agreement that OPEC reduces approximately 1.2 million barrels a day to bring its ceiling to 32.5 million barrels per day, effective 1st of January 2017. The rebalancing.
But it wasn't an easy deal to reach. One of the main sticking points was Iran's refusal to cut its oil production levels. Its oil minister said they had put forward a fresh proposal that would be palatable for other OPEC members, but didn't give details.
For Iran, no reduction, no freeze.
But as the meeting got underway, crude prices rose sharply. They were driven higher by OPEC leaders, including Saudi Arabia's oil minister Khalid al-Falih, who said they were optimistic of an agreement. But those prices are still less than half of what they were 2 years ago, when Saudi Arabia, the world's top oil exporter, decided to start pumping crude at record levels. After decades of controlling the oil markets, it was faced with a new threat. US oil companies that developed new techniques to extract oil from shale reserves long considered too expensive to drill. The fall in prices has forced Saudi Arabia to cut tens of billions of dollars in spending and become less reliant on oil. In short, it's the country's biggest shift since it discovered crude at the start of the 20th century. But the economic pain for poorer oil-producing countries has been much worse. Venezuela, for example, is facing runaway inflation, soaring unemployment, and even food shortages. So any boost in oil prices would benefit millions of ordinary people. But a sustained rise in prices will also encourage US shale producers that had mothballed their rigs as crude fell to start drilling again. That could lead to even more oil flooding world markets and Saudi Arabia once again fighting to remain the king of oil. Azhar Sukri, TRT World.
And Azhar joins us in the studio now. Azhar, we've been watching OPEC for a couple of decades, and they're notoriously difficult to coordinate, aren't they?
You're also talking about one of the most opaque organisations on earth.
Perhaps it should be called opaque.
Opaque, very good, indeed. Look, traditionally, what they've said they produce has always actually lagged behind, has always been below what they've actually been producing from what outside sources can monitor. And monitoring this deal is actually going to be one of the most crucial parts of it, because nobody really knows how much each country is actually producing. So the other factor to remember, the other uncertainty going forwards, is how quickly the US shale oil producers are going to be able to come back on stream.
Right.
Chances
with prices going back up, they're encouraged to...
Exactly.
Right.
Look, don't forget, a lot of the infrastructure, a lot of the capital spending that the shale oil producers had to put in place has already been put in place. And compared to offshore drilling, onshore shale oil producers can much more quickly turn that capacity back on.
Right.
So you could end up with a situation where if prices start going up, say, north of $50, $55 a barrel...
They get everything back out of the shed and start producing again.
Producing.
Well, let's talk about the prices going up. I mean, they went up sharply today by about...
About 8% today at one point.
But still a long way to go until the highs of 2014.
Oh, yes, very much so. We peaked at about $110 a barrel in mid-2014. So, yes, a long way to go. This is a good start, though. But, again, let's turn this around a little bit. We've been looking at the supply side of this equation. Look at it from the demand point of view. Demand is still actually pretty weak. If you look at the latest World Energy Outlook from the International Energy Agency, they're looking at overall aggregate demand slowing to about 1.2 million barrels per day, down from about 1.8 million barrels per day.
And that reflects the overall health of the economy and demand.
Very much so.
Let me ask you quickly about Donald Trump. He's coming into power, into office in a couple of months' time. I just want to give you an idea of his attitude. In his book, Crippled America, back in 2015, he says, "I've never understood why, with all of our own reserves, we've allowed this country to be held hostage by OPEC, the cartel of oil-producing countries, some of which are hostile to America." Has he given an indication, Azhar, and you covered the election for us, that he will deal with OPEC more harshly?
Oh, very much so. He actually has said that he will stop importing oil from OPEC altogether. He's talked about an energy revolution in the United States, tearing up environmental laws. And as a matter of fact, just this month, they've discovered what could be the largest ever deposit of shale oil in Texas. Right. This is 3 times bigger than the field that we went to in North Dakota. So, you know, there could be hundreds of billions of dollars worth of oil under the ground still in the US.
And he's prepared to use it, unlike perhaps the more environmentally minded President Obama. OK, Azhar Sukri, thank you very much for the analysis. Appreciate it.